Good morning, everyone. Math today. So we're on lesson 110, and we're talking about symmetry. Now, symmetry means that, so a line of symmetry means that something can be divided in half, and that on one side and the other side is a mirror image of one another. So if you fold a piece of paper, it would exactly line up to one another. So if you look on page 573, in your book, they show a triangle, and my triangle is clearly not going to be exactly like their triangle because we know my struggle. But they divide this down the center, and theirs is even, mine is not, with a line. And this line they named R. And this line that is R is called a line of symmetry because this half and this half are exactly the same. So if you fold them over, they will lay on top of each other and be symmetrical, okay? So if we look in your book on page 574, if we look at example 1, it says, this rectangle has how many lines of symmetry? So there's a rectangle. Now, we can divide this in two ways. We can go here, and there's one line of symmetry, right? But we can also go this other way. So we could also have this line of symmetry, okay? So this rectangle has two lines of symmetry, okay? There's no other way that we could cut it into pieces and fold it over in our brains and keep them lined up and exact, okay? So example 1, it says how many lines of symmetry? We'd say 2 lines of symmetry. Example 2 says, which of these triangles does not appear to be symmetrical? So, you're gonna have to look in your book for this one. Example 2. So, we have an A, a B, and a C. The only one that can be divided into, and be symmetrical, mine is not going to be right, but is A, okay? And A, it works because, mine is not right, because it's an equilateral triangle. Clearly mine was not an equilateral triangle. I need to make it a little fatter. Okay, so an equilateral triangle. So it looks a little more like this. We can actually divide an equilateral triangle. We can divide it with 3 lines of symmetry from each point. So if we went from this point, it would divide it equally. If we went from this point, believe it or not, it would divide it equally also. And this point, it would divide it equally because it's an equilateral triangle. So no matter which point we go through. So it has 3 lines of symmetry. The other one is a right triangle. Well, they're both, B and C are both right triangles, and those cannot be divided with lines of symmetry. They're not equal. You'll have to look. Right, so look at example 2, B and C. Their sides don't line up, so they can't be divided equally. Let's see. And then if you look on page 575, it says a figure has rotational symmetry. So we've been drawing lines of symmetry. Rotational symmetry, if the image of the figure reappears in the same position as it is turned less than a full degree. So what they're saying is if you turn it so they're drawing a square, okay? So you have one square. Now, all of these would have rotational symmetry if we went all the way around. So that's not what they're talking about. If not putting it back in its original spot. So if you turned this 45 degrees, it would look something like this, right? That's a 45-degree turn. But if we turned that another 45 degrees, then we'd be back to what looks like a square, okay? And there's a way better picture on page 575. But squares have rotational symmetry. You can turn them less than a full turn, and you can get the same image. Other things have those too. So if you look at example 3, it says, which of these figures have rotational symmetry? Choose all that are correct. So you have A, B, C, and D. Let me see if I can hold my book up here. So you have A, B, C, and D, right? So we could turn this one, right? We could turn this rectangle, and it would have rotational symmetry. And we can turn this quadrilateral, and it would have rotational symmetry. But this one we couldn't turn less than a full degree to get it to look the same, and neither could we on D. So our answer here is going to be A and B. Okay? So that's your lesson for today. So you're going to work through your practice set, A, B, and C. Make sure you read the hints. Go back and look at examples. Call me or text me if you need help. And then let's work our way through our lesson. So our written practice. We are going to meet tomorrow, and we're going to work through math and investigation. So be ready for that. And we are on the home stretch of math. So you've almost done it. You're almost there. Good work. I'll see you later.